This is why you better believe we're all still watching.
It's time for you guys to start being journalists.
Before an angry Andrew Baldwin left the courthouse, 13 News overheard him speaking to Richard Allen's wife, saying, "It ain't over. The world's watching. The world sees what's going on."
Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It's Tuesday the 19th of March and this is the day after the day before. The day after the hearing to end all hearings. Not quite, that's very hyperbolic of me, but it feels like that right now. Because I just got finished watching Defence Diaries with Bob, who was at the hearing. Well, hearings. There was 3 hearings. The first hearing that started at 9 a.m. was just to add and take away charges from Richard Allen. So 2 kidnapping charges were dropped, but the extra murder charges are staying. So don't get excited hearing some charges dismissed. It doesn't matter. It's just to tidy up the charges, I think. The second hearing was the contempt hearing. And the result of that, which I think a lot of news channels have run with, is that Baldwin and Rosie have now got a week to put some kind of final arguments together, like closing arguments. And then Nick McClelland, Slicky Nicky himself, has got until the 1st of April to reply to that. And then Francis has got 30 days, which takes us all the way up to the beginning of May, doesn't it? Because 30 days of September, April, June and November. So by the 1st of May, Gull should have replied with her result, the outcome, which is only 13 days before the trial's due to start. So whatever sanction she imposes, these guys are not going anywhere. She's not going to DQ them 13 days before a trial starts. She knows that her life won't be worth living if the Supreme Court has to get involved again under those conditions. So she's either going to give them a day or 2 in jail or she'll slap a fine on them. Okay, now the really interesting thing was what happened in the afternoon, and this was the motion to dismiss Richard Allen's entire case. And this is absolutely freaking mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. So go and watch the Defence Diaries podcast. I'm going to play you a couple of clips, short clips, but I want you to go and watch it. Because Todd Click gave evidence. Who's Todd Click? Todd Click is one of the 3 law enforcement officers, along with Murphy and Ferenczi, who was shot dead by an ex-correctional officer. I don't know whether that's relevant or not. I don't know whether that's a coincidence. Anyhow, they carried on researching the Odinists for years. Years. They've got so much information. And Todd Click verified under oath that what was said in the Franks motion from back in September was true. That's exactly what he was researching. And some of the information is just wild. Let's work out the relationship between these guys. There was 4 Odinists that were mentioned particularly in this hearing. There's a couple of others. There's Ned and there's Rod that are mentioned in the memo back in September. But we're concentrating on Brad Holder, who is the dad of Abby's boyfriend, Logan Holder. So was Logan Holder used to get Abby to the bridge? I don't know. Brad Holder, his mate Patrick Westfall, and then Patrick's mate Johnny Messer. And then Elvis Fields. Elvis Fields, the one who confessed twice. The one who ran up to a law enforcement officer who gave him a lift home and said, well, if I can give a good reason why you might find spit on one of the girls, will that be okay? Well, this is what Todd Click said about Johnny Messer, a big white supremacist, a big Odinist. Where's the link between Messer and Fields? These are the Rushville guys. Well, Johnny Messer's uncle lived with Elvis Fields at one time. So Messer and Fields absolutely knew each other. And there's a phone, Johnny Messer's old phone.
Messer's ex-wife, a gal named Taylor, and they had her she was in the memo. They talked about Taylor, but like some of these details I did not remember, specifically this one, that she said that she knew that on Johnny Messer's old phone that he actually had a video of a kidnapping of a young girl that he committed. And so Click's like, what? So he ends up getting this phone and verifies that he has, yeah, dude. Yeah. So like this, so this is Johnny Messer. He verifies that he does. He has a phone on his phone. He's got a video of them kidnapping a girl at gunpoint. So they then go try to identify the victim, and they can't do it. But it's like, it's not like it's not like a fake video. It's like actually this guy like videotaped him committing the crime, which sounds an awful lot like what happened with Abby and Libby on the bridge.
Yeah, he had a kidnap video on his phone. Why is this guy not in prison for kidnapping a girl? They couldn't identify her. They got no evidence apart from this phone. They didn't know who she was, but being kidnapped at gunpoint. Are you freaking kidding me? Exactly like Abby and Libby. I'd like to know when this video was. Was this before or after the murders? Is Johnny Messer responsible for more kidnappings? I don't know. Now, Amber Holder was due to testify. Who's Amber? Amber is Brad Holder's ex-wife. And she had interviews. She was polygraphed. I think she was one of the ones that was polygraphed. Oh, do you know what happened to the polygrapher? Do you know what happened to the polygrapher? House burnt down. Her and her daughter both died in a house fire. All right, so what did Amber say? Well, Amber wasn't allowed to give the testimony that they'd planned because of Gull. Now, this is understandable, actually. She didn't want them to move away from the four corners of the motion, and she said that this was too far removed from the motion. But Amber Holder said some interesting things. Amber Holder would have testified this.
You know, she had information that when Brad had told her that when the relationship between him and Patrick Westfall fell apart was when they were doing a ritual near a river, and that there was a fallout because Westfall wanted to move beyond just sacrificing animals. So, I mean, you can intuit what they meant, or, you know, what he was saying.
That's the first time we heard anyone say that, or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a big thing.
Patrick Westfall, when he was interviewed by Sleuth Intuition, said that him and Brad Holder fell out when he found out that Brad had been going to a Christian church. And you can't be both. You can't be Christian God and Odin at the same time. Okay, you can't do that. Those two guys are incompatible. So he took Brad's patch. But Amber Holder said it was actually because they fell out over a ritual. What was the falling out, though? We've never heard that before. That's freaking crazy. That Patrick wanted to go beyond animal sacrifice. I mean, animal sacrifice is bad enough. I mean, what poor animals were they sacrificing? Right, what? Rabbits, goats, deer? What were they sacrificing? Anyhow, they wanted to go beyond animal sacrifice. Well, there's only one way you can go beyond that, isn't it? One way you can go beyond that, and that's human, isn't it? Were Abby Williams and Libby German ritualistically sacrificed? I've no other words. Gull is taking all of this on advisement. Look, surely any other judge would realise that this prosecution can't move forward. Any other judge would realise that. Any other judge. You know, like what happened with Barry Morphew. You know, they were getting very close to trial for his charges of murder about his wife, Suzanne. Whose body has now been found, by the way, but at the time, it was a no-body homicide case. And they dismissed the charges without prejudice, which means they can recharge him again in the future if they get more evidence. They haven't done so far. Chad Durman, the guy who was accused of killing his 3 sons, shooting them all to death, 15th of June last year. The confession he gave has been thrown out. They can't use it at trial because the procedures, the officers were lax about the procedures. Any other judge would dismiss these charges. Not only is the evidence against Richard Allen very weak, and there's 70 days worth of interviews that have just gone missing, they just don't have them, and a bunch of other stuff that's come out in motions yesterday. There's so many problems with this case against Richard Allen, and then we get all this Odinism stuff. Come on. Any self-respecting judge would look at this, the totality of this evidence, and say, come on now, Nick. This can't go forward. You got to let this guy go. But Nick, you know, he's got friends in low places. Nick, you got to say for yourself, Slicky. What you got to say for yourself, son? Any self-respecting judge would disregard anything Slicky Nicky had to say at this point. He's an absolute disgrace. This trial, if it goes ahead, you're going to get Brad Holder on the stand, Patrick Westfall on the stand, Johnny Messer, Elvis Fields, get them all on the stand. And let's hear them, from their own words, under oath. In Odin, do you still trust, if you're under oath? I've no words. Absolutely diabolical that this is just continuing. Diabolical. The charges against Richard Allen are not strong, but when you put together the totality of the evidence, what does it tell you? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.